All right, welcome to the first episode of B&H Podcasts. Today we're going to be talking about who shall be deserving of the NFL MVP. Henry, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I can start us off. You know, there's a lot of good candidates this year, but, you know, in my opinion, I think it's clear cut. I think Aaron Rodgers deserves to win the NFL MVP award this year. He has been and continues to be so valuable to his team, and the Packers record proves it. In games that Rodgers has started this year for the Packers, their record's 13-3, and in the one game that he did not start, the Packers lost. You say it's a coincidence, but it's obviously not. If Rodgers would have played the whole game, last game against the Lions, you know, probably would have been 14-2.
Oh yeah.
There's no way to prove it, but, you know, to those who watched the game, you could see that probably would have won if he would have stayed in the game. Obviously, didn't need to because I already have the 1 seed locked up. But, you know, according to NFL.com, which is a trustworthy source with it coming straight from the NFL organization with up-to-date information, in games that Rodgers has started this year, the Packers offense averages just shy of 28 points per game. And in the one game that he did not start, Packers looked out of whack offensively, only getting 7 points against the Chiefs. So,
Yeah, I mean,
he's obviously very valuable.
yep, I agree. I mean, over 4,000 yards, 37 passing touchdowns, along with 3 other rushing touchdowns, for a total of 40 on the year. I mean, and only missing, and only throwing 4 interceptions in a 17-game season. I mean, that's a pretty crazy stat.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
really impressive.
not a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, in NFL history, have even come close to that.
I mean, 40 total touchdowns to
Yeah.
only 4 picks. It's a 10-to-1 ratio.
Right, that ratio is crazy.
It's 3 rushing and 37 passing. So
Even with the added game.
yeah, it's obviously impressive.
Yeah, I mean, just the way he can read defenses is just crazy. I mean, he has full permission to change the play based on how the defense lines up. For example, go back to the second game of the season against the 49ers. I mean, just crazy. 37 seconds, he drives the ball down the field. Devontae Adams, middle of the field, open, timeout, field goal.
Yeah, and I
3
saw
seconds
an
left.
interview after that game, and
Just-
he was basically saying that he was calling all the plays.
Mhm.
You know,
I mean,
he
LaFleur
totally orchestrated an amazing drive
LaFleur
for the
went
last
up to
37 seconds.
Yep, LaFleur went up to him before the drive. He's like, "Go win the game," and
Yeah,
that's
he called every play.
exactly what he did. So.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's impressive.
Just the way he coordinates the offensive line, just how he holds his teammates accountable, and
I mean, 17 years of doing this,
Mhm.
he's seems to only be getting better.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be getting better with age. It's crazy.
Mhm. It's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the games this year, just his clutch factor, just his ability to formulate a drive with such little time. I mean, countless games this year, we've been down, and then he's just come back with less than a minute. It's just been incredible to watch. I mean,
And
it's,
that's what makes him so valuable.
yeah, I mean, it's insane.
But it's not just Aaron Rodgers. We know that there's obviously a ton of other candidates out there, and one of them being Tom Brady. You know, a lot of people think this year Tom Brady, 44-year-old, just like Rodgers, is only getting better with age, or at least it seems that way. A lot of people think he should be MVP this year, and he's really a good candidate. And people think he should be over Aaron Rodgers. And I did some stat digging on Pro Football Reference, which is a trustworthy, incredible, up-to-date source with many employees with high educations, and it really shows, looking at the stats, Tom Brady's truly had an incredible season, especially at age 44. He leads the NFL in total touchdowns with 45, with 43 of those being passing, 2 rushing, and has an incredible 5,316 passing yards.
It's crazy.
And he's also led his team to a 13-4 record, which is the same as the Packers, but in the record category, Rodgers technically has a better record because he missed a game. His record's 13-3 this year. Brady's is 13-4. Either way, both are impressive. But yeah, even though he's had such an impressive season, I still think Rodgers tops him. I mean, according to Pro Football Reference, you look at any statistical category, or at least most of the categories, the main categories, And even if it's not by a lot, Rodgers still tops Brady. I mean, you look at completion percentage. Has 69 completion percentage, 69%, and Brady's at 67. Close, but Rodgers still tops him. Touchdown percentage, Rodgers is 7, Brady is 6. Interception percentage, Rodgers throws a pick in only 0.8% of his passes, which on average he can throw 100 passes and only throw 1 pick, so that's really impressive. And Brady's is still impressive, but it's 1.7, so he's still throwing more than double the picks that Rodgers is throwing.
And how many picks has Brady thrown this year?
He's throwing 12.
12 picks, exactly.
And Rodgers is only throwing 4.
4 picks.
So,
And
Rodgers takes care of the ball much better. It's clear cut. To taking care of the ball, you go to touchdown to interception ratio. Rodgers is an incredible 9.25 with 37 passing touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. So that's incredible. Brady's 3.58. It's even though it's way lower, still impressive, but doesn't even compare to Rodgers with 43 passing touchdowns to 12 interceptions. And a lot of people will talk about the yardage. They say Brady has over 1,000 more yards than Rodgers has this year. How can you talk about Rodgers being MVP? Well, he's also thrown the ball 200 more times. Rodgers has 7.7 yards per attempt, Brady 7.4. So you can only imagine how many yards Rodgers would have if he had the amount of opportunities that Brady has.
And had he not missed that game,
Right.
I mean, he
missed a game and a half actually with the Lions game.
Right. And
And
the first
just a
game
different
of the season,
style of
first
play.
game of
You
the
got
season
that
didn't
in
help too much.
consideration.
Yeah, he rebounded.
So, going into some deeper stats, we have adjusted yards per gain per pass attempt. Rodgers is 8.8 to Tom Brady 7.8. Yards per completion, Rodgers has 11.2. Tom Brady has 11. So again, it's close, but Rodgers still tops him like usual. Net yards gained per pass attempt. This one's also very close, 7 to 6.98. Rodgers tops him. Adjusted net yards per pass attempt, Rodgers is 8, Brady is 7.41. Team record, Rodgers has them 13-3 to 13-4. QB rating, 68.8 for Rodgers, 68.5 for Brady. Passer rating, 111.9 for Rodgers, 102.1 for Brady. And you can even look at the rushing stats. Rodgers has 3 rushing touchdowns, Brady has 2. Rodgers has 101 rushing yards, Brady has 81. So that I just don't think the race is close at this point, because you look at any category, Rodgers tops.
Yeah, I mean,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure. And another candidate I would like to speak about is the Wisconsin native Jonathan Taylor. Just a non-quarterback, but just I had to pick up. He just has a heck of a year. I mean, he's a dual threat running back. I mean, this season, 332 attempts for over 1,800 yards, 18 rushing touchdowns, averaging 5.5 yards per attempt. 40 receptions, 360 yards, 2 touchdowns to add to his total. Total yards from scrimmage this year, 2,076 total yards season as a running back, which is crazy. And based on rushing, the next rushing leader, Nick Chubb is 529 below him, which is a crazy number.
There's a huge gap there.
A crazy gap. And that's why some people are arguing Taylor over Rodgers and Brady, because we haven't seen a running back with numbers like this since Adrian Peterson in 2012, who, by the way, that year won MVP.
Mm-hmm.
So, 22 years old, very young player. He's the youngest player in history to record over 2,000 yards from scrimmage and over 20 touchdowns. Another stat I'd like to talk about is his yards after contact. 751 yards after contact.
That's impressive.
That's insane.
That's more yards than most people have actually rushing yards.
Yeah, that's as many rushing yards as backs this year. Yes, he did have a great year, but his team did perform subpar. They missed out on the playoffs. I think they should have made it to the playoffs. Their last game against the Jaguars, that was a pretty embarrassing showing from the Colts. Yeah. But all the stats of Jonathan Taylor aside, Aaron Rodgers, you got to give him the MVP this year. Just everything with the COVID controversy, his leadership.
He's got it all.
He's one of the best leaders in the NFL today. Their receivers. They have a great opportunity to learn from him. elevate their game as well as earning the trust from them. I mean, if he doesn't win MVP this year, it'd be pretty shocking.
Yeah, I think it'll be a disgrace.
I mean,
he's done everything to deserve the award. Whether it comes from leadership or, actually, putting up numbers on the field.
Yeah, I mean, and you come from the COVID controversy and him faking his card or the off the field issues with not coming back. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. He's in Green Bay and he's winning football games, and that's all that the fans and franchise care about.
Green Bay needs him to win football games
Green
too.
Bay needs him, and you saw Jordan Love play. And I mean,
like to your point with Jonathan Taylor, you can talk about him being, a great player, but when it comes to being most valuable to their team
and leadership,
he couldn't lead their team to the playoffs. While, Packers clearly need Tom Brady to go to the playoffs.
And Rodgers even going back to the Cardinals. I mean, he had no receivers to throw to.
And that reminds me, Rodgers. In a similar situation, you have Rodgers without his top three receivers, with his receiver number one being Randall Cobb that game.
Right.
Was still able to beat the 7-0 Cardinals.
Who had 2 touchdowns that game, by the way. He utilized them very well.
And then, when Brady was thrown into a similar situation to what Rodgers was thrown into against the Saints, without his top three receivers, they couldn't score a point. They lost 9-0.
Yeah, 9-0. That's crazy.
So, that'll pretty much wrap it up for us. I mean, we think it's clear-cut. Rodgers deserves the award. There's other good candidates. A lot of people had great years, but no one really tops Rodgers.
No, I mean,
the end of the day.
it's if Rodgers doesn't win the MVP this year, I mean, he's won it already. I mean, he doesn't even compare to Brady. I mean, you look at the stats. Touchdown, interception,
he beats him
completion
pretty much
percentage,
everything.
every major statistical category. Rodgers beats Brady in. So.
And their team's doing great this year. They got the 1 seed above the Buccaneers. So we'll see what happens when come playoffs. But
we could see the Buccaneers Packers rematch in the championship game.
Yeah, we could be. That would be exciting.
That'd be exciting to watch.
So thanks for listening.
Yep. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Yep. We'll see you next time.